We're gonna get 100 on this one.
Songwriter Alanis Morissette once sang, "It's like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife." As we're coming up on this new season of hurricanes and natural disasters, a lot of times we're led to feel this urge to donate things, but it's actually what the Centers for Disaster Recovery call the second disaster. So what I'm going to convince you to do tonight is to make it rain, because cash is better than goods during disasters. Our problem is that we're giving goods during disasters instead of money. And it doesn't sound like a problem because we think that people can use everything, but unfortunately, many of these goods are unusable. After Superstorm Sandy in 2012, LA Times writer Jose Joaquin Barras reported that disaster workers told of receiving such inappropriate donations as wedding gowns, tuxedos, and Spanish flags, as well as goods that were perishable or had passed the expiration date or were in poor condition. So many of the things that they got, they could not actually use. In addition to not being able to be used, they spent actually a lot of money transporting these goods. In 2017, the United States Agency for International Development Center for International Disaster Information reminded us that money is actually easy to transport, but moving a container of donated goods can actually cost more than the value of the items. So for the money that it costs to transport someone, they could actually be buying it in bulk locally, or not even having to use the transportation itself. In addition to the transportation costs, there's another problem. It actually distracts the workers. They spend all this time sorting through these goods that are all over these tables and in these warehouses. And what they find is that it actually takes people off the ground for recovery and relief. They can't go do the other things that they need to do. They're so busy working their way through the items. And once they get through some of the items, actually a lot of it creates additional waste. So many of these items actually end up getting burned and sent out to sea, or they just rot away in the warehouses. So why are we like this? Why do we donate goods when we know it's not good? Well, one of the first reasons is because we don't actually know it's not good. There's not a whole lot of information out there. People don't, relief organizations don't tell us about it. We just have this thought, like we want to give personally. Most of us are just very kind-hearted, naturally, and we want to give, and we want to give something meaningful and personal. And we think that cash is cold and detached. We don't like the idea of writing a check and throwing money at a problem. But that's exactly the way to fix it. So the fix is to donate the cash, because that actually helps the relief workers get their most needed goods. So these would include items like batteries, medical supplies, flashlights, some food and water locally. It actually allows them to use it immediately. They can use the money right away, or they can hang on to it for when there's need later on down the line. Okay, so some of these relief efforts will take many years, and they'll need to know that. Okay, they'll need to have that money available. It also helps boost the economy. So people who may have lost their jobs during the disaster, they'll have things to do. It actually helps, it doesn't compete with the local market, so people can purchase locally, and it also doesn't entail shipping costs. And also, of course, helps the environment, because like I said before, those goods that are being sent and burned and sent out to sea, they're really ruining the environment. Money also doesn't take transportation, like we talked about before, and the space is not required either. So after Hurricane Harvey in 2017, Bob Bob Ottenhoff, who's the president and CEO of the Center for Disaster Philanthropy, he said with the floods blocking off streets when warehouses are not available, there's no place for these products, no place to store anything, no way to distribute anything. So they can't even get down the streets of these places to give out these goods. Things can't land, people can't get in with them. So that's kind of an issue. But a lot of us, like I said, feel weird giving money. Some people have been scammed before, but there's a way to help that, and that's to find credible organizations to donate to. So you can actually use charitynavigator.org. It rates charities on their transparency, their fund distribution, and their efficiency. So they will tell you things on a score of 100 and 4 stars, okay? So up to 100 and up to 4 stars. What they're doing with the money, how much is going to supplies, how much is going to food, when they're using it, and how they're getting it there. So you can look at all that to make sure it's going to the right place. So some other people would say something's better than nothing. I'd like to give this. Actually, no. In 2017, Karen Marasenik, a Spanish interpreter and seasoned disaster relief volunteer, in her 2017 article said as much as 50% of donated food and countless used goods are thrown away. So if you're thinking about sending that can of corn, there's a 50-50 chance that it could go to waste because it can't get there or cost too much to send. So that's what's happening. So tonight we talked about how there's too many items and not enough cash going on. People with good intentions are inadvertently making worse impacts on these areas, and they're thinking that anything can help. But luckily there is something actually that we can do to fix this, and that is, like in the words of our good friend Jerry Maguire, we can show me the money. And we can give cash so that the things that the people need, they can get them right away, and they can get them later on when they need them, and we can actually be doing what we want to do, which is help our friends in other areas. Does anyone have questions?